It's our post-game reaction show. We've got an Auburn victory to talk about, 27-13. We're going to get into all of it here, the big highlights, the takeaways, and how to react after Auburn takes down Mississippi State at home in what should be an easier part of the schedule. All that coming up right now, and of course, your reactions. Let's get into it. War Eagle Auburn family, War Eagle E2C Network family, thank you so much for joining us. Whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on the replay, we appreciate you being here, being part of our little family within the Auburn family. And we appreciate you watching on YouTube, Facebook, all the other places out there that you can find the show. We appreciate you getting here however you can and being a part of this reaction stream for Auburn and Mississippi State. 27-13, lots to talk about, a little bit happier notes too to talk about, which is a nice change of pace over the last few post-game streams. We obviously want to get started off on a good note like the team did tonight. Would love to hear from you. If you're here watching live, especially, you can participate if you're on the replay, but especially live, we'd love for you to start off by smashing the like button. It is a huge help to help get the stream started off on a good note, to let other people find it, join in the conversation. Do that first, and then right now in the chat, the live chat, or in the comment section in the replay, post where you're watching from, your city, your state, your international. You can do that too, and of course, with a War Eagle. To our Bulldog fans out there who might be tuning in just to, I don't know, if you want a little bit of, not therapy, but glutton for punishment. Hard-fought game. Obviously, I think Mississippi State is not as weak as some people would have you seem for them to be, depending on how you view the second half. We can talk about that a little bit when we get into some things. But I do want to welcome any of the Mississippi State fans that might be tuning in. I have a feeling we won't hear from very many of them tonight. So start checking in with us. We want to say hello to a few of you who are here. We've got David, Drip Edits, Efficient Gaming already here. Good to see you all. Thanks for tuning in to the show. David gets us started off. Offense woke up in the first half. Obviously, if you expected that to continue, you didn't know this Auburn team very well, that they're going to probably have some spurts here and there of success, failure, and, it's still a work in progress. But, boy, let's focus on the positives of that. We were in plus 100 passing yards in the first quarter. Let me say that again, folks. 100 passing yards by one quarterback. I did this. One quarterback in the first quarter. Can y'all wrap your minds around that? Hats off. I'm not going to take the hat off because my hair is a mess. What hair I have left after being an Auburn fan. But to Peyton Thorne for having an outstanding game and looking like the quarterback we all expected him to be. And very happy for him. Good to see Thomas. Kevin is here. Good to see all of you here starting to tune in and gather here. David says he loved the tempo. It did feel like we were able to get things established a little bit more soundly from such a great start and kind of play within the pace that we wanted to play, which tends to be a little bit faster. Hugh has even said in press conferences that he wants to be more of a tempo guy. That's his bread and butter, or that's his identity in the past, at least. And you can only do that if you're actually having some success in some certain areas. You can have tempo all you want, but it's not going to be successful tempo. Efficient Gaming says, remember I said 2 passing touchdowns. Who would have thought 3 passing touchdowns in the first quarter, mind you? That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Drip Edits. Auburn's first half team, Mississippi State's second half team ran out of energy after the first half. I would say it wasn't a matter of running out of energy. I think it was more we pulled back on the reins a little bit too early. That's my opinion. I mean, maybe there was like a energy issue, but I think we kind of pulled back and kind of expected what was happening in the first half to carry over. And I think they were probably feeling out the situation, hoping that Peyton could get one more on the board and then throw it over to Robbie for the rest of the game, which I was kind of hoping for. I wanted a game where Robbie didn't have like a lot of pressure to see how he would work. And I think a comfortable, 20-point lead would have been something that he could have managed within and done a little bit of exciting things. John's here. I think I said hello to Megan. I can't remember. Thanks for tuning in. And Wheeler over on Facebook. Good to see you. Thomas, I know that you are super happy about that. You were talking about this in the Conquer Club Connor Liu today, getting to play a lot more, and he's a rising star for the offensive line. So if you are someone that has been hoping, begging, wishing, weeping about the offensive line, there are stars that are beginning to rise out of the young ranks. It's still going to take time. Not perfect, but man, it was good. I want to point out, when we talk about the first half and the second half, Unbeaten Lake, offensive line played the best they played all year. I thought in the first half, my one critique, if I'm going to have a critique, and I've been probably hardest on the offensive line for the last 3 years, is when we need them to, it was hard for them to create space, especially in the second half, to kind of sustain some drives. Now, that may have been play calling as well. We don't know. But I'm just kind of looking from my viewpoint up there in the stands, and it just felt like when we needed them to create some space to kind of sustain some drives, to slow things down, to keep it under control in the second half, we weren't able to do it as successfully as we were in the first half. Outside of that, though, did a great job creating holes. I mean, Hunter ran up the middle. It wasn't always successful, but it was at least getting some yardage, more than 1 or 2 yards. So great game for them. And I would say, if your comment was best game of the season, probably so. Field position wasn't good in the second half. And on the other side of that, David, even with that, they didn't let it get away from them. They didn't let that kind of panic them that they were losing the field position battle. They managed the situation, got out of it. The defense rose up. They bent a little bit, but didn't break. So, yeah, I mean, obviously there are some things they could have done better, but they kept Auburn in a position to win. We'll go through some stats and stuff here in a little bit, but keep your comments and questions coming. I want to make sure we address those as much as we can. We got a good crowd here. Let's go ahead and ask the question. Who's your player of the game? Player of the game right now. Post it in the chat. Want to know who you think's the player of the game. Drip Edit says, got to give them props for their second half. Absolutely. And so here's what I want to say about Mississippi State while you guys are thinking about who's your player of the game. Mississippi State is reeling this year after what happened to Mike Leach. And it is still just, I haven't even processed it completely myself. Like I half looked over on their side. I was like, is Mike over there? And he's not. Zach Arnett was given a monumental task to take what was an energy deflator of a situation and make something of it this year in his first year as a head coach. And there were rumors he was going to be our defensive coordinator. So mind you, keep in mind with that. I think what I saw from them in the second half is a little scary. If they can make some waves this next off season and kind of mind some good transfers and stuff, and Zach can really establish himself, what he wants their identity to be better, they could be a formidable team next year. I'm not calling them to be a top 10, top 15 team, but someone you don't want to mess with, especially on their home turf. Thankfully, we don't see them next year, I think. Yeah, I think that's correct. All right, so we got people dropping in some players of the game. Thorn. David says, Robbie, I think you're being funny. No offense to Robbie, but Robbie didn't really play. Thorn all the way around. Jarquez looked okay. Drip Edits, are you being funny? Jarquez looked great. Absolutely great. Brian pointing out, I heard Andy Burcham and Jason Campbell said Jarquez ran over 100 yards, 144 to be exact. They said he broke his old record. I don't know what record that is, but it was a great game for him tonight. Andrew says we played too conservative in the second half. There's an argument to be had with that. I also thought that we felt very comfortable with where we were at defensively and offensively, and that we were going to be able to contain them. If this was an Ole Miss last week and we're nursing the lead like that, you play more aggressively. This is a Mississippi State team without their starting quarterback, without their starting running back. It's a much different game if they're here. Let's just be honest. We're probably talking about a down-to-the-wire game. So my prediction was 27-21. We got to the 27 for Auburn that I predicted, but they failed to get to the 21. They might have done that with Will Rogers and maybe even a few more. Fishing Gaming, I'll admit it. I've been hard on Thorne this year, but he came to play today. I think the tempo helps Thorne, keeps him from pressing. I want to say this, not just about Thorne, but about the reactions. And we do reaction shows here, so please hear me. I'm not faulting anyone that has a certain reaction. I am going to ask you to be better in some circumstances. But because you're an Auburn fan, you're better than that. But I would say, let's not sit here and act like Auburn just created some monumental feat. They beat Mississippi State, who's at the bottom of the SEC, with Auburn. I mean, it is what it is. So this isn't Ole Miss last week where Auburn looked pretty solid at times and could have beat them, but wasn't able to. This is Auburn establishing themselves in the pecking order of the SEC, and they are clearly ahead of Mississippi State at this point, which, frankly, is understandable given what they're doing right now. Player of the game goes to Keontae Scott for Thomas. That's not a bad one either. It's hard to ignore Peyton's success because there hasn't been much of it this season. Can we be honest? Outside the Samford game, that's the two big games that he's had. But you also want to give credit where credit is due to the other players of the game. Keontae Scott, Jarquez. I'm trying to think if there was anybody else that stuck out to me tonight. Zion had his interception, but I think he also got beat like 2 plays before that. So this is a game where you look at it, in my opinion, at the end of the night and you go, wow, we could have done a lot of things better. But boy, wasn't it nice to see some solid play, though, for the majority of the game? It really was. Scott, the MVP today. Another Scott vote right there. Weren't they supposed to have a good pass defense? You know, I'm going to be honest. When we looked at them on the Thursday night show, on the stats area, I wasn't all that impressed by their pass defense based on stats, but that's just numbers. You know, going out there and playing as much differently. Zach Arnett is a defensive-minded guy. That's where he got his name made, where he was potentially in the running to be Auburn's defensive coordinator reportedly at one point last year. You would think that they probably would have had a better showing defensively. This is Auburn, Alabama. This is Jordan-Hare Stadium. You don't have an easy time here. Point blank. Let's see. Can't watch again until we lose. I played golf, missed the game, and I'm superstitious. Well, hey, listen. You know, I'm going to vote. We all are going to take a vote here. And David, you can't watch a game ever again. That's just how it's going to go. So I'm sorry. We won a game we were supposed to win today. Absolutely. And I think that's how you look at it. But you also have to be, and I know you're not saying this, Thomas, but I'm just adding on to it. You have to be impressed with what you saw today. Because as bad as things have gotten at times this year for Auburn, it could have gotten even worse and continue to spiral. And it didn't today. They clearly, something clicked this week. Will it click next week at Vanderbilt? Hopefully it's Vanderbilt. They don't have one end zone, for crying out loud. Yeah, he did lay some hard hits tonight. Bill, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I would say that the tempo does seem to help him a little bit. When things slow down, I think he, just in my opinion, maybe overthinks things because he is so used to being in command and control as a veteran guy. And this is a team that's not maybe ready for the level of adjustments he's comfortable with making and overthinking on things. Who knows? Maybe. So another way to think about this too, game, not just for Auburn, but for Mississippi State, this was a very crucial game for both teams in terms of positioning themselves to be bowl eligible. Auburn now positions itself with a game with Vandy next, New Mexico State. You can surprise Arkansas, and then you got the Iron Bowl here. You never know. Plenty of opportunities to get bowl eligible. Crucial win for the Tigers. Not to say that it's going to kill the Mississippi State hopes for a bowl game, but it certainly hurts it. It certainly does hurt it. Vandy's a must-win. I don't know if it's a must-win, but I would say that in terms of feeling comfortable, at least I would feel much better. Yes, definitely so. All right, let's look at some stats. Keep your comments and questions coming about this game. I want to hear maybe what stuck out to you, what you liked, what you didn't like. Some of you have already kind of talked about that, but if there's some things that we haven't hit on, make sure you drop them in here. Look at stats tonight. Peyton Thorne, 20 for 26, 3 touchdowns. His passer rating is a 189. Not an interception anywhere. I think I saw one bad throw in terms of, he overthrew somebody that was clearly wide open. A lot of people critique him on some of those deep balls that he threw. We're clearly trying to draw pass interferences, or they were dead balls, basically, where you just throw it up. If you make a play, you don't take the penalty in that sense. I would give him, frankly, an A tonight. Not perfect, but dang good. Jarquez Hunter, 17 carries for 144, his long of 50. Gosh, it was good to see Jarquez back there. Damari got back into the game. He did look pretty solid in terms of just walking around at reverse tiger walk, but he didn't get a lot of action tonight. You got to ease him back in. Peyton had a few good runs, 8 for 38. And it would look a lot better had he not fumbled the ball. I think it was a bad snap, but also had a couple little negative plays there. Here's what I love. We talked about Peyton. We talked about Jarquez. What's getting lost in this tonight? Let me count it for you. I'm going to count this number out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I went and did that fat. Oh, it's right down there at the bottom, Kyle. 11 wide receivers on the night. 11 wide receivers. Absolutely incredible in terms of distributing the ball. Frankly, I have been hoping, waiting, wishing for this all season. I have wanted just to see as many of these guys get opportunities to catch the ball tonight. Fairweather, Fair, Johnson, Hunter, Brown, Alston, Hooks, Burton, Batee, Malcolm Johnson Jr., Jeremiah Cobb, all with receptions tonight. Your leader, Fairweather. So if you voted on our preview show for Fairweather to be a leading receiver, you win the prize. There is no real prize, but you can claim it if you want it. Jay Fair has a great game, 3 for 25. Jarvis Johnson with his touchdown, 2 for 59. And Shane Hollywood Hooks with that great catch and play at the end of the catch. That's what we've been waiting to see. Man, so good. A lot of people being proud of Peyton, and you should be. You absolutely should be. Good to see you, Linda. Thanks for being here. I like that Auburn didn't lose. Yeah, I think we're all in that point. This is the happiest, frankly, the happiest stream we've had all season, because the last win, the Sanford win was, I think there were still some frustrations there, especially after the Cal game. That Cal game was not a fun one for those of you that we weren't able to do a stream after, but you know. Brandon Frazier, why was he not listed? Brandon Frazier's not on the list. Interesting. That may be a mistype, or somebody maybe maybe it was a misspeak. But I remember Brandon Frazier being called out on the thing. Second half was annoying. Seemed like the old days of Tuberville squads where they played safe and defense. Yeah. But listen, if that's what we're complaining about tonight, I'm game, man. Yes, Hooks only got the one catch, but what a catch it was. Boy, what a catch it was. There were some very athletic plays on both sides tonight. A couple of hurdles. Jarquez had his. Their running back had their hurdle. And, you know, the play by Hooks, the stretch across, was just really, really good. Also really like that back shoulder throw to Cobb for the touchdown. Very impressive. You mean Johnson? Am I right? Or is that? No, that was Cobb. Oh, wow. I completely forgot that was Jeremiah Cobb. You call it. I was wrong. You were right. All right. Defensive stats here. And then we'll look at team stats, and we'll keep taking some comments and questions here. Let's look at the defense. Your leading tackler tonight. No surprise here. Let's work. Eugene Asante, Keontae Scott. So in a world where Eugene Asante is basically your leading tackler and just the spark of your defense every game, if those of you that have picked Keontae Scott as your player of the game, you are rightfully so here. 7 tackles, solo, tackle for loss, a pass breakup, some really hard hits tonight. Cam Riley had a really key moment there at the end of the game, deflecting a pass that could have been a touchdown. Jalen McLeod with 4 tackles, Nehemiah Pritchett with 3, Larry Nixon with 3, Kaufman, and then Zion Puckett got his interception. That is correct, yep. So pretty solid game defensively, a little bit shaky at the beginning, second half, giving up a few yards, but man, absolutely incredible. Neil says defense A. I wouldn't give them an A. I would give them like maybe an A-. An A- would probably, I think there was plenty of room for improvement. Marcus Harris got hurt at one point in the game. He said the D-line needs improvement. Where does he fall in this list? Nowhere to be found. So, oh no, there he is. 2 tackles. I think if Marcus has a better game, you probably say differently about the defensive line. That's why it was. Thank you. Brandon Frazier had the catch on the penalty. Mm, 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 let's see here. Defense B. I would give them more credit than a B. It's got to be a B plus or an A minus. But that's all. We're just arguing minuses and pluses at that point. I'm gonna start addressing how great our special teams is, as we normally do, but I'm also not going to address the elephant in the room because our kicker is doing great. That's all I'm going to say. If you've ever played sports, if you've ever, in baseball, there's a certain thing that happens that you just don't want to acknowledge. Our kicker's doing well. That's all I'm going to say. So we'll just leave it at that. I will acknowledge that he made a 39 and a 49-yard field goal tonight in the second and the third quarter. What else? Batiste scared me when he fumbled that kick return. Oscar Chapman, 5 punts tonight, so more than I would like them to have, but his long of 59, really good. So that's kind of your breakdown of stats individually. What else? Petit dropped 2. I thought he just dropped the 1 because Peyton had the other fumble that's listed. Kicker you. Yep. What else? What else is on you guys' minds tonight? We can obviously go through some team stats here, but I want to make sure we hit some of the topics that you want to discuss. Can everybody agree now that Peyton is probably the best option for Auburn to be the most successful throughout the season? This is not a discrediting of Robbie, not taking away from what he can do, but you can see what Peyton can do when everything is clicking right on the offense. To me, it's pretty obvious. Yes, it's at home. Yes, it's Mississippi State. Has he looked horrible on the road? Yes, but so is the whole offense. So to me, I think if you're now arguing about a quarterback controversy, you're just stirring up stuff, just to stir up stuff. I think Robbie will always have a place on this team as long as he wants to be here. And frankly, we need him to continue to get better because Peyton Thorne has had an injury history too. But to me, there's no quarterback controversy at this point. Devin, good to see you. Playing one quarterback the majority of the game. Wasn't that a shocker? I don't know. I saw a lot of people talking about the elephant noise. I don't remember it. And I don't think it was an elephant. I think everybody was mistaken on that. I could have, been mistaken. Getting swept by the state of Mississippi is tough, man. It is tough. But thankfully, Auburn very rarely has that happen. And it didn't happen this season. Fishing Gaming, I'd like to have seen the offense put the pedal down and continue the tempo in the second half, give the defense a lot more room to breathe. That's my only complaint. And it's a fair complaint. It's a very fair complaint. If that's the most underrated and understated thing of the whole year, yes. Auburn is a home team this year, and there's not much more things that are true in this world. All right, keep them coming. Team stats. Auburn, 416 yards. I'm going to say it again, 416 yards. Auburn, 230 passing yards. I'm going to say it again, 230 passing yards. 186 rush yards. Thought it was a little bit more than that. It's not. We held them to 345 yards, so right at where they normally are. That's kind of what you want to do. Overperform on your end, keep them right where they're at, / underperform. It actually might be a slight underperform if I remember correctly. Auburn just, wins a lot of these categories. They win in the penalty category, the first downs. They never had to go for it on fourth down / never chose for it. They were more efficient, less plays, and more points to win the game. They just up and down here. They were definitely more efficient. They did more with less time of possession. Didn't have a turnover, even though they tried to a couple of times. They did not get a sack tonight. And if you had told me that Auburn would have 0 sacks and win this game this way, I would have laughed at you. I would have. So I think someone said earlier the defensive line was a little disappointing. That's probably where that comes from. You would have expected maybe a few more sacks, things like that. But, yeah. So So that's your team stats. Really nothing of note. I think that's important to talk about Mississippi State stats unless you guys want to. Sweeping the state of Alabama is always good every year if you can do it. Seeing if this car is going to come over here and shine this bright light in our eyes. I don't think it is going to. Let's see here. Seeing what else you guys are saying. I'd rather get the win than care about sacks. Oh, no, and don't hear me when I'm saying that, Neil. Like, I just would have thought we would needed a few more sacks to be as successful as, obviously, you don't have to have any. You can still win the game. Weather was awesome today. So you were here, Neil? Were you here? Or are you just talking about in general? I will say in terms of atmosphere, response by the fans, what they had going on. Band was great again today. I mean, just being in the stadium today was surprisingly fun. On a week where they had this weekend, last weekend was crazy, just busy, so much to do, so much to see, so much excitement and hype. And you would thought it'd be kind of lame this weekend. It wasn't. It was a great day in Auburn. Absolutely great day. Let's see here. I just hope that the constant switching quarterbacks is over. Hang your hat on Thorne and ride it out. I'm fine with them utilizing Robbie when it makes the most sense, but the switching back and forth is frustrating. And that was limited tonight. And part of that's on Peyton. Peyton's got to show that he's going to be successful. And when you do that, they're going to give him free reign to stay in there as long as he needs to be. If he's not getting it done, they're going to try Robbie. This is really a situation where neither person has won the job outright. And so you've got to go with who's got the hot hand necessarily. And Peyton, more often than not, has the more hot hand. Now he's been given more opportunities, more chances, more plays to work with, at least from what we can see. And so obviously a higher likelihood of success, you would hope. But yes, I hope for a while the quarterback controversy is done. Peyton can go a long way to silencing his critics by going to Vanderbilt. Yes, it's Vanderbilt, and putting on a good road performance. If he does that, sure, the Arkansas game's going to be tough. I think they've got a pretty good defense. But you kind of almost understand. Not really, but kind of sort of. I'd like to see Ashford line up more at a running back position just to freak opposing defenses out. I would love, actually this idea, have two quarterbacks in right beside each other, and there's a direct snap to Robbie, and maybe even like a fake, like he's coming and then drop back like Cam used to do, and just lob it over the top to a tight end. That would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, all right, we're at 28 minutes. Final comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals. Get them in right now. Don't miss your opportunity to do so. We're going to start winding down here, but I want to make sure that you've had opportunity to be heard, say what you want to say, have it shown, all that stuff if it's worthy of being brought up. Reminders, scheduled stuff for this week. I please continue to ask you guys for patience. Been crazy time of life, and we didn't do a Wednesday night stream last week. Hope we were planning on doing one this week. The Auburn Family Night live stream at 8 Eastern on Wednesday night. And then, of course, the Auburn Experience on Sunday night, this Sunday night at 9. Austin plans to be here. He shouldn't be sick or have family gatherings or anything like that anymore. So Sunday, let me do that in order, the Auburn Experience episode 55. Then Wednesday, the Auburn Family Night. And, of course, we will probably do a preview stream for the Vandy game. I know you're all thrilled to preview the Vandy game. But that's the scheduled content for this week. Don't miss out. Follow us everywhere for all the great content. We got another band show going up live for you guys. Good away game performance by Thorne locks him as the starter for the rest of the season. Sure, yeah, I think so. And I kind of that's what I guess I would have to agree with that because that's kind of what I said. You're taking your 12-year-old to visit Auburn. That's going to be awesome. Awesome. So, wrap all this together. Jarquez, Thorne, your obvious great games tonight. Keontae Scott needs to be in that situation too. The offense looked solid. The defense, for the most part, looks solid. This was exactly what was supposed to happen. Auburn handled its business against a team it should have beaten at home. Very nice to see that happen, and so excited for the guys to kind of put a lot of the boo birds and the criticisms to rest. The work is not done. Still plenty left on the table, and I hope that we're talking about another win this time next week when we're doing a post-game show from not the mobile broadcast studio, from headquarters next Saturday. So I hope you guys will tune into that as well. So you got a lot of content to look forward to. Sunday night at 9 Eastern time, 8 p.m. show on Wednesday, 8 p.m. show on Thursday, right after the game next Saturday, and then we'll start it all over again. Folks, it's always great to be an Auburn Tiger. Thank you guys so much for being here, being a part of our little family within the Auburn family. And thank you so much for celebrating this win with me. Auburn beats Mississippi State 27-13. Till I'll talk to you again. War Eagle.